I guess we'll, like I said, kind of shoot for hour 15.
You're listening to the Game Tenants Podcast.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Game Tenants Podcast, the failed adventures of two gamers and their quest for Gamecast stardom. This is episode 44, and I am Church of the Game Grinder, and as always, joined by my excellent co-host,
Jason from Corpse Flood Gaming. How you be, everybody?
And today we are joined once again by Chris, the old-ass retro gamer. Chris, thanks for joining us.
No problem. Thanks for having me again.
Yes, so for anybody who's been listening, he was actually on the last episode of 2016. So I thought it would be fun to have him on again, and maybe we get like a podcast tradition going besides rambling and Shantae streaks.
Oh,
Whatever.
It's a thing.
Yeah. So for anybody who might not be familiar with you or your channel, would you just want to let those people know a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My channel is the Old Ass Retro Gamer, and I started doing the channel because I had to sell off my collection when I lost my job a few years back, and the channel is all about me trying to regain my old collection. It's kind of turned into something else, where it's about me hoarding. But yeah, I'm sort of known as the guy who does like the big YouTuber collaboration videos, and those are the ones I have the most fun doing.
Yeah, it's the ones I have fun being part of that one time.
Yeah,
but I want
maybe again in the future. I think we got one, going on right now. Maybe, possibly, could be.
Yeah, hush, hush.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. So, and then not so much video game related, but you actually have a podcast as well.
Oh yes, I'm a filmmaker in my spare time, and I'm also a huge film fan. So me and an actor friend that I worked with on my film projects, Jeremiah, we started doing a podcast called "Shh, the Movie Is Starting," where we bring guests in and we watch a movie together, and it's usually a film that the guest is really familiar with, like it's something that they like from their childhood, and we alternately talk about what's good about it and what we like about it, and also rip it to shreds at the same time, and it's usually a lot of fun. You can find it on iTunes if you really want to.
And you do really want to.
Yes.
And are the movies you watch available on streaming services, or is it?
No, it's just audio only. It's just
the movies that you're talking about.
Some of them have not. We try to have stuff available that's on streaming, and sometimes it's not really possible. So you might have to get that movie via other means.
Amazon.
Yes, that.
Cool. So then, before we kind of jump into the meat and potatoes of the podcast, I wanted to cover some community comments as we got some this time. So definitely want to keep that trend going. So
definitely, we want to hear what people think, especially the new format as we try it out. Hopefully, people enjoy it.
Totally. So. The last episode we had Smash JT on, and we were talking a little bit about some of the things he done on his channel, and he mentioned his he did a video about the CD emulation box. So BioPhoenix commented the video on the CD was really good, but ripping off a logo is not even close to the same level as ripping off a console and charging way more for it. But either way, it's pretty funny stuff. So he did a video kind of there was the CD system that they're like borrowing people's emulators and selling the system. So he's kind of calling them out, and at the same time some guy commented because his previous channel logo was a tribute to Smash TV, and he's like, well, how can you rip that and rip off somebody else's logo? And it's very different, but yeah, definitely a good point there.
Well, one thing I forgot to mention when we were talking about all that, because I think it just kind of got lost in the shuffle, was my current logo is literally the Chrono Trigger start screen. So I also can't comment.
Yeah,
my logo is the Sega Genesis logo, so
it's more tribute than rip
It's a
off.
homage. Yeah, it's an homage. You know, how many people use like the Contra lettering, or you know, you
sure.
you incorporate what your channel is about into that kind of stuff, I think.
Yeah, totally. And then BioPhoenix also said Battle Chef Brigade did look like a pretty cool game from the videos he's seen. Kind of reminds him of Odin Sphere, which I guess I need to look into that. What's
Got
that?
a little bit of that Vanillaware look to it.
Okay. I really don't know anything about the game. I thought I'd heard about it, but with that mention, I should probably look it up. And then BioPhoenix also said, as someone who just got the Switch, he really enjoys it a lot so far. And recently they just released like 20 games at once in the eShop, which, as Smash JT said, is they are really pumping them out in the eShop, and it's making it kind of hard to focus in on the best of the best.
Yeah, I feel his pain as a new Switch owner myself.
Yeah, you really like have to just go through everything to even see what came out like 2 weeks ago. So it's yeah, like you said, it's a little bit of a work to actually be able to look at everything too. Like they kind of just throw the same few things in your face on every page, and then you get to actually, while you're browsing, it'll be like, have you tried Mario Odyssey? Like, we're aware of Mario Odyssey.
Right.
Like if you have a Switch and you don't know what Mario Odyssey is, you probably someone just gave it to you and you're not using it. Well,
Yeah,
have you heard of
right.
Zelda? This game called Zelda? No. Oh, I just bought this thing to watch Netflix.
I can stream YouTube on my Switch.
Awesome. Then we got a couple comments from the Black Metal Gamer. First one was, he'll take GameStop any day for a limited physical over a limited run. And we were talking about Secret of Mana getting a physical version through GameStop. And I know a lot of people are kind of have a little bit of animosity towards the limited run, but I believe all three of us partake quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit.
But
I'm pretty bad for going, hey, can you grab two of that? I want that. I'll send you money.
Yeah.
But I will say, as far as I've noticed, the games that we get from limited run are games that we actually have interest in, not just like buying every game.
I'm not just. I'm gonna keep it in plastic and sell it to my Christmas present. No.
Yeah.
No,
No, I'm guilty.
I think with the recent ones that we ordered, I think I'm at 6. So it's I'm not that bad.
I have a few. I don't know how many.
Yeah, I tend to buy the ones I know the name, haven't played, but I've also been known to buy ones that I know nothing about, like Drive.
It looks good. Well, I mean, God, that looks like crap, but I know people want it, so I will grab it. They cannot.
Well, honestly, I'll say too, since really,
Actually, maybe I will.
besides from when they first started, pretty much most releases they put out are pretty decent games. Some of them are great, some of them are average, but you're not going to get a bad game from what they've been doing. Maybe Breach and Clear.
That's because it's their game.
Sadly.
Well, generally, you want to make money and you want people to buy your product, so you're going to usually pick something that's not crap. You're like, oh man, everyone hated that game. We'd be able to get it really cheap.
Right.
And then people would buy it. It would be like it'd be the only game that like was up for months before it all sold on limited runs, sadly.
But I mean, we all know most people are upset with limited run for the fact that they are limited run instead of doing like limited pre-orders or something. But
it goes both ways. And when they do a pre-order, then the people who do buy it just to like keep it in plastic and go, oh yeah, I got this. It's worth $300 on Amazon right now. Like,
but at the same time, you're not going to please everybody. You know, that's the other thing.
Well, they've only done that once so far, haven't they? It was just Yee's Origins
and Skullgirls.
Oh yeah. And I got that one too. Yeah. It only took like a year and a half to come to my house.
Yeah. Lots of issues with manufacturing and shipping embargoes, and
I'm just happy to get the physical thing. I don't care how rare it is. Like,
I just want to play it.
yeah, I don't want to be like, oh man, so many people don't have this. That's what's so good
Right.
about having it. I'm not one of those guys. I'm not the you know the dick comparison guy with video game collections. I like this game, so I bought it. If you don't like it, I
Yeah.
don't care.
Yeah,
Really,
I buy
want
games
it.
to play them.
Yeah.
Right. And then Black Metal Gamer also kind of added on to that is he stopped. I'm going to paraphrase a little bit here. He stopped caring about physical only gaming. Stop about physical only gaming. He'll get whatever is cheapest and most convenient, and he feels the same about albums and movies. And I can kind of agree with that to some extent, not when it comes to video games, obviously, but I've completely moved digital with film and music. I mean, I still have a few DVDs and I still have a few CDs, but for the most part, I don't collect other things as I'm just focusing on the game collection.
I buy a movie if I know I'm going to watch it more than once. Because if you're just going to watch it once, might as well just
Rent
download it or stream it really quickly. Yeah, something like that. Like, if it's something I know, I have the series of, like, I don't know, like the Marvel movies or Star Wars or something like that. Yeah, I'm going to buy it. But as far as albums goes, I don't know when the last time I bought a CD and the band wasn't signing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been years. I think at least 10 years since I bought a CD just because I was like, ooh.
It has to be something I really like to listen to for me to like buy the vinyl of it. I haven't bought a CD in years.
Vinyl is another thing.
That's a whole nother as Chris will tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a box of ones I don't need to get into because I'd probably.
Yeah, I have a few vinyls. There's a few that I want to get, just more for like being kind of like a collector's piece and having that soundtrack. And it's the thing I like about vinyls is the extra effort that are put into them.
Oh yeah.
You know, with the art and stuff and doing cool discs or records themselves and whatnot.
Yeah, and the sleeves and that. Yeah, it's cool. Like all that, the splattered blood and one looks like a saw blade or see-through and all that stuff. Like they never used to do that at all. So it's really cool to see all these game soundtracks with stuff that like ties to the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris has got a pretty amazing collection. Definitely check out his videos on those. Those are every time he posts one, I'm just like, ah.
Yeah. Well, Church was trying to get me to buy that Streets of Rage 3 album that came out over the weekend, and I remember I said I posted or I had my alarm set to it so I could buy it.
Oh.
Guess what I forgot to do?
Got to turn on the alarm.
Yeah, well, I ended up buying it on Sunday instead of Saturday, so I didn't get the limited edition version.
Ah.
But at least I got it.
You saw they just put out there's like I think 2 different Skyrim vinyls right now.
Damn.
Well, there's like 3 for Cuphead.
Oh jeez. Yeah, they're some of them are getting a little crazy, but
Yeah,
this is what it
a
is.
little bit.
And then the last comment that we got was from PK versus the World. He used to be PK Retro Reviews. He's changed his channel name to kind of encompass more of what he's looking to do instead of just focusing on video games. FYI, for anybody who didn't know that. But he says he really liked the topic of reviews and review scores and that he covered them in 2 of his recent videos. He's glad others are talking about this too. He says he usually doesn't listen for an entire 2-hour podcast, but he actually had for the first time.
Nice.
And it tells us
That's great.
great work. So appreciate that, PK.
Yeah, I'm glad that I'm glad that people are listening. Hopefully, the video makes it easier to get through it all too, or something to have on the background.
Yeah,
Just sexy voices.
Yeah.
I would definitely like to know for anybody who's been watching or listening your preference. If anybody likes that we're doing the video, if that helps make it more interesting, or should we just stick to doing the audio? Like, definitely want to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, or any other suggestions you have on how we could improve the podcast. We can definitely at least consider it.
Yeah.
We won't laugh at you, I promise. Even if it's
They're all gonna laugh at you.
So then I think with that we can jump into our kind of what we've been up to section here. Just kind of talking about maybe what we've been playing over the last couple weeks, any other relative interesting mentions we have. So, Chris, with you being the guest, would you like to take it away? What have you been up to? What have you been playing in the last couple weeks?
Today I actually just picked up Star Wars Battlefront 2, so I was playing that for a little while today. It's actually pretty fun in the single player. I'm digging it.
Yeah, I like the story is pretty cool on it.
Yeah, well, you suggested I do it, so I did what you told me, and I like it.
Well, I'm glad that you're like, thanks, man. Sucks.
Yeah, I recently picked up a Nintendo Switch, and I've been playing that a lot lately. And I kind of went crazy with the Best Buy Gamers Club Unlocked thing, so I spent a little bit way too much money, way too much money, buying games to add to the collection for that. So I've been playing Mario Odyssey and Cave Story Plus and Ultra Street Fighter 2. And
if you haven't picked up It'll Do too, I recommend.
It'll Do. I did have it. I haven't played it yet though. I got way too many other games to play.
Oh, I know. I
Binding of Isaac and Fire Emblem Warriors. Yeah, I've been busy playing the Switch a little bit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And then there's always seeing Star Wars 35,000 times.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Which I'm the only one here who hasn't seen it yet, so I will be watching it.
Do so.
Do now. Yeah.
So, Jason, what have you been up to the last couple weeks?
Well, I've been playing a bit more games. I've been pretty hooked on the Star Wars because it's the new movie coming out. It's kind of got me hyped. I played more Battlefront 2. I finished the story. I finished the add-on to the story that they put out in the newest patch, which was pretty cool. It added the planet Crate, which is the first good crate in this game.
Nice.
As a playable map, it
was intentional.
It's a big.
He's holding that one in since he saw it.
Yeah, it's a big map. It's a big deal in the new movie, and I don't want to. Obviously, we're not going to spoil it here, but
Okay.
it's a really cool map that they added. They added a couple new characters, Captain Phasma and Finn, for heroes, and then added 3 new levels to the campaign story, which really tie a lot of cool stuff together. So I'm really digging that new stuff. As far as the other stuff in the patch goes, and stuff following the aftermath of EA having their pants pulled down about the loot boxes and stuff, I find the progression is pretty good. It seems a little slow, but I mean, you obviously don't want it to be too easy where you play like 3 hours and you got everything unlocked and you're like, oh, no, I just nothing to keep me playing.
I do not like the hoops they're making you jump through to get that Kylo Ren character. You have to play that Galaxy of Heroes game, the mobile game, to unlock him in the actual PS4 game.
Oh, I don't.
When I opened the box today, it had like a little slip in it. It's like, oh, if you want to unlock Kylo Ren at like like a 3rd level Kylo Ren, you have to play the Galaxy of Heroes mobile game and get to like level 8.
Oh yeah, I didn't do that. But I was gonna say I have Kylo Ren in my game. I didn't know that.
I was gonna say you're gonna get him anyway, so what's the point?
Yeah. I didn't have to buy him or Rey. Maybe it's because I got the Elite Trooper or whatever edition because it was on sale and then I had the pre-order bonus. And it was also the only one I could pre-order. For some reason, the regular edition never seemed to go up for pre-order on Amazon as I was watching it. So anyway, I ended up buying that. It ended up being cheaper than the main game itself. So why not with the Amazon thing? And I wasn't even level 10. I think I'm only missing 1 character out of all the heroes. So that playtime is definitely lowered a lot. I think the only one I have to unlock now is the Emperor because I hated playing the Emperor in the last one. So he's the last choice for me. Oh, yeah. And they have a new hero ship that unlocked with the new patch. I don't know. I don't recognize the hero's name. So, but they play an alien if anybody cares. But that's another thing I have to unlock. So I have 2 things to unlock, and one of them is an add-on thing. So it's pretty good. Like you get lots of the credits and stuff you need to buy these characters through doing other things, like through playing the campaign, you unlock a lot. Through getting certain milestones in the online, like getting 30 kills with a certain troop class or whatever, stuff like that. And then that's what I like about Star Wars. Like I've been really enjoying it. I mean, until you get like until you unlock some of the better perks and stuff for the characters, it seems like it kind of sucks because you're like, oh, well, yeah, I don't have level 3 of that special thing, so of course, yeah, that guy kicked my ass. It's a small gripe. That's just good stuff. And I've been learning the maps better, so I've been finding I'm doing a lot better every time I play, so that's good. Because at first I was just getting slaughtered because I'm like, oh, here's a good spot where I can kind of hang out in this area, move around in here, and then I'll be like, oh, I didn't know that other doorway is there, and I just keep getting killed from behind or something. So yeah, I've learning the maps definitely helps, just like any other game. So I'm doing a lot better now. I'm getting better at the flying, which I mentioned I sucked at last time. I only had played the one fighter squadron. Was it Galactic? I can't remember what it's called. The flying online mode, anyway. And so I've been doing better at that. So all in all, enjoying that game a lot. Obviously, since I talked about it for what seems like 5 minutes. And I actually recently acquired, actually yesterday, a game I've been wanting for years. I used to play all the time, and that's In the Hunt for PS1.
Yes.
I had things to do yesterday, and I ended up just playing that game pretty much all night. I set up my PS1 immediately with the LCD screen, the PS1 Mini, and I just played it on that for probably 5 hours,
God
and then I played it a bit
dang.
more today. Loved it. I love the game. It's a Metal Slug type game for anyone who's never heard of it. I definitely recommend it. It's a submarine game. It's like submarine version of Metal Slug. It's from the same developers and everything. Amazing. Go and get it. It's a pricey game, but I found it pretty cheap online, so I finally decided to jump on that, and I couldn't be happier.
Thrifty.
Yeah, the rose-tinted glasses of childhood did not steer me wrong in this instance. The game is still as awesome as I remember it, and I can see me playing a lot of it and making people play it when they come over because it's 2-player. You can play. There's a PlayStation version, and then there's the arcade version you can play in it.
I think it's available for the Saturn too.
Yeah, it's on the Saturn too. The PlayStation version, what I can figure out is the music doesn't match the game at all. Maybe it's just because I'm used to the other music, but it seems like way too happy. Like you're like blowing.
You're killing people.
Inside. That's all like and you're like, all right. So I've been playing I find there's more like shields and stuff. It seems like because I mean they're not trying to get. They've already got the money out of you when you're playing the home console version. They're not trying to milk quarters out of you. So yeah, there's the addition of like a shield you can get so you don't just die in one hit like the regular game. So I don't know. I've been playing the PlayStation version while using the arcade music is how I prefer to play it. It's definitely one I recommend everyone check out somehow. Besides that, other games I've been playing around a bit more with my Switch. Nothing really of note there. Getting back to my PS4 a little bit here and there. It'll be definitely more in the next few days as I start winding down on playing Battlefront 2 a lot. I'm going to try and actually get some substantial play in like single-player games, especially the ones that I've got started on, so I can get to this mountain of other ones that I've got. And as you can see from the last podcast, I got a bit more stuff set up for my collection, so that's cool. Everything's kind of more dialed in. It's space management is becoming a problem, and I'm trucking through it, and I'm actually creating a lot more space, and everything doesn't look cramped, and as far as I know anyway. And then yeah, gearing up to start some more videos, including being part of Chris's next compilation if I can muster it up. But it seems like the more I want to be done here and get something done, the more stuff is thrown my way that prevents this. And then people wonder why I stay up till like 3 a.m. And that's why. Because if I can get going on something, I just keep going until I'm like, I'm gonna be dead tomorrow from like exhaustion. So I should probably go to bed now. It's been a struggle, but I'm finding ways through it. So it's been going good. What's Church been up to the last 2 weeks?
I have been doing some gaming. I finished Hollow Knight, I think a couple days after the last episode of the podcast. Don't have a whole lot to add to what I've already said about it. Fantastic game. I know a lot of people kind of shy away from PC and playing games on Steam, where it's currently exclusive on Steam, but it is coming up early next year on the Switch. So I really, really, really recommend Hollow Knight. It's one of my favorite indie games of all time. One of the best Metroidvanias I've ever played. Right up there with stuff like Super Metroid and Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
So good, and
Is it connected to Shovel Knight?
It's not, unfortunately, but it's
Shovel Knight is sad.
I will say, for what it was, I wasn't expecting to put in the time that I did. I didn't do like a full like 100% completion, but it was pretty dang close. A lot of the kind of side secrets. It has multiple endings depending on if you do certain requirements. So I made sure to do all that. I played through the first DLC that they had released for free. All of Hollow Knight's DLC is free, and they do a pretty good job of implementing it into the gameplay without making it stand out. Like, I didn't even know that I came across the initial starting points for the DLC, which is really cool, I think, for DLC.
Yeah, that's always the best way when it just feels like another oh cool, it's another 2 hours of playing a game, but it just feels like you got to go to a start point to get to where you can access that, and it really feels like an add-on. But then there's games that do it seamlessly are just way more satisfying, because it's not just like the Mass Effect. I liked the add-ons for that game, but it was very obvious that you were going to do this add-on. You couldn't really stumble upon any of the add-ons, even if you downloaded them previous to starting the game. Whereas games like Skyrim or Oblivion, stuff like that, you could just go right into it and be like, oh, I guess I'm doing an add-on right now. I'm not even done the story. So that's definitely a better feeling for that.
Yeah. And then speaking of add-ons, there was the Shantae DLC, Friends Till the End, that was released last week.
That's adorable.
Definitely is. And I got it on the Tuesday that was released, and I'd beaten it Tuesday night. I binged the heck out of that. It's not super long. If anybody played the other DLC, Pirate Queen's Quest, about the same amount of time, 3 hours, 4 hours, if you're able to get through it. It has some challenging parts in it, which I really appreciate, as I thought Half Genie Hero, for the most part, was a pretty easy game. But it's interesting, as I've actually been reading some comments about the new DLC, and apparently there's some people who struggle with Half Genie Hero, just the base game itself, which is kind of surprising. But then again, I'm kind of a veteran of the series, and I've played through a lot of the games multiple times, so it's kind of
brag.
It is what it is. I did beat. I do take pride in my abilities. I beat Cuphead, I beat Dark Souls, and so on and so forth.
Shantastic.
Yeah, for sure. But I really enjoyed the Shantae DLC. Basically, it's another playthrough of the game. They don't really change the levels themselves, but they bring in some new enemies, which is great. They change up locations, and basically what the premise is you play through the game as the 3 secondary characters, Roddy Tops, Bolo, and Sky, and you can switch between them on the fly. Kind of think of the Lost Vikings, how that plays, where you switch between the characters as you need them. that's basically how this operates. You play through the levels. It's basically the story takes place in a particular segment of the main story of Half Genie Hero to kind of fill in the gap of what happened there. The end was a lot of fun. It's another kind of like challenge section. Kind of think of something like the end of Half Genie Hero or the end of Pirate's Curse, where it's kind of like a trials thing, which I have a lot of fun with. But yeah, so anybody who likes Shantae, I definitely recommend picking up the DLCs for that.
Awesome.
And then, of course, I'm still playing Friday the 13th. There is a new update finally that is out. They added Shelly from Friday the 13th Part
Oh God!
2.
Please tell me
Part-
it's
no.
killed a lot.
He's just one of the counselors you can play
Oh,
as.
God.
So, if Jason's good, he can kill him.
Kill him all the time. Go for him first.
And they also added the virtual cabin, which kind of it's a secondary mode. You go into it and you can kind of walk around this cabin where they'll have objects you can interact with, where they provide information about the film series, about the development of the game. But hidden within this basically like information system is a bunch of secrets and steps that you have to take to unlock other rooms and introduce some other secrets that I haven't been able to find out. I know they if you can get through all of these like clues and whatnot, there's kind of a reveal at the end that it's been spoiled for me, of course. But
Is
it's
it all
definitely
virtual reality?
It's not. It isn't
Like in
first
Jason
person,
X?
but it's not in virtual reality, unfortunately.
Would you want some premarital sex?
I won't say anything about Jason X and Friday 13th, the game. People will have to find that out for themselves when they play Virtual Cabin. But
You want to smoke some pot?
they also increased the level cap to 150. So that gives people who have been playing the game for months with hundreds of hours some additional incentive to continue playing. And there was a small pay DLC pack to unlock some extra Jason kills for the Part 7 Jason, I think it was.
My favorite Jason.
The first one I ever saw actually was the 7th one. I just randomly was allowed to rent a horror movie for my birthday when I was like 11 or something. So I just like this one.
Yeah.
It was like the only one rented out at the time. Is the virtual cabin like the crypt off Mortal Kombat kind of style?
No, I wouldn't compare it to that. Where in the virtual cabin, all the stuff is there. Certain objects you can interact with. Like I said, that gives you information. But it seems like everything kind of starts with there's a couple like dioramas you can interact with, and then you can like pick up some objects and place them in other places, which will. I don't know an effective way. It's almost like a mini adventure game, like Myst or something.
Yeah. So, but
haven't
isn't
seen
the entire game kind of a diorama?
Derp!
Yeah, there you go.
There's
So
the dad joke of the podcast.
yeah, we'll keep that one for sure. And then besides that, I finally started playing Ruiner, which is relative as I did an unboxing video, which I know some people could give two shits about unboxing videos, but it's been 9 months since my last one, which actually was Horizon Zero Dawn. So I like doing unboxing videos. I like talking about these.
You should do them on Boxing Day.
Oh, right. Yeah.
There's a
Well, I
dad
didn't-
joke for you.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
go.
Well, yeah. Well, now you're keeping a lot of stuff out of the box, so it actually wouldn't
Yes.
be boxed back up again.
Right.
Every Boxing Day.
I thought Last Guardian was the last one you did, but it must have been like this. It was around the same time.
Yeah. But I did start playing Ruiner. I've only played about an hour of it so far, and it's basically kind of plays like Hotline Miami, almost a twin stick gameplay style. It's not the retro pixel art, but this does it's 3D polygon isometric view, and it seems like there's a little bit more more of a structured story. You play through an initial area, and then there's kind of like a hub area that you can run around with, and I think go to possibly the different areas. Like I said, I'm not very far, but I am enjoying it. Music's pretty cool. Gameplay is very similar to Hotline Miami.
Is that a PC game?
It is on most platforms, I believe.
Okay.
Maybe not the Switch, but it's on PC, PS4, I believe. Maybe. It's another Devolver Digital game, too, so they're usually pretty good at putting them out on
because
platforms.
Because they were trying to get the PS4 release, and then the ESRB wrecked it. So yeah, it's at least on PS4, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's on the Xbox. I haven't browsed there. I don't browse their store as often now, but I don't know, because I've got enough physical games to deal with. Like, I don't really care what's on sale. I get the free games every month, and then that's about all I deal with.
Right.
Which came back to bite me the other day as I sent a screenshot to you, Church. Turned on doing the game sharing with my brother, and I turned on my Xbox, and I was like, oh great, I got a virus on my Xbox. And you're like, what? That can happen? It's like, yeah, man, I gotta like throw it out now. It's useless. Because I sent him a picture, and it was just a game's ready to play, and then there's NHL 18 in it. I was like, what?
Corruption is rampant.
Yeah.
What is happening? And I literally just sent my brother a text, and all it said was hockey with like a bunch of exclamation marks and question marks, and he's like, what? It's like, what are you doing?
Well, it is Canada.
It felt like the end of episode 3, that level of betrayal. Just, you were my brother.
Yeah.
Except for if someone's gonna yell, I hate you, it probably would have been me. Because hockey on my Xbox is just not a thing I enjoy.
Yeah.
I don't care how Canadian I am.
So yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to, just gaming, trying to get the channel, trying to get some more content out. I'm gonna have a little break here, so I think I'm gonna try to pump a few videos out. But yeah, right. So then I think we can kind of jump into some more topical stuff. Couple of little news bits, and then maybe some game of the year discussion, which is always fun. So
it was called the year of the game, because damn.
Yeah, no joke.
Good year for games.
This has been a very good year for games.
And next year is shaping up to be another good year, as we just got a new announcement for the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection.
Ooh.
Which
add that to the pile of, I need to get it.
Yeah.
All the want.
Yep, and it's essentially Street Fighter, original Street Fighter, not the NES
Viking
game.
Street Fighter 2049.
Oh God, no!
Not that one, but it starts at Street Fighter 1. Has Street Fighter 1 has I lost my list.
All 35 iterations of Street Fighter 2.
Yep, 2
Except for Ultra. No Ultra though.
Yeah.
Oh.
Turbo, and then they got Street Fighter Alpha 3 or 1 Alpha 1 through 3, Street Fighter 3, Second Impact, Third Strike, like basically all your iterations of 1, 2, and 3 in Alpha.
I don't know, man. There is one game suspiciously missing from that list. Street Fighter the movie, the game.
Oh.
Everybody needs a little Van Damme in their video games.
Yeah, it's almost like a forgotten thing these days, because I don't think I've ever seen that in any collection or re-release. It's probably a licensing thing.
I own it.
Yeah, this wasn't in it either ever, and this is the first one that it's part of.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. They kind of always just were like, no, what are you talking about? It's like Star Wars. We started with episode 2, and that's it. Like they're we're gonna release the episode 1 later. Don't look for it. Don't look for the first one.
Yep, there it is.
No shame.
So, you guys got any
movie games?
So besides lacking Street Fighter, the movie, the game,
Don't bring it up again. I'm gonna cry.
Any other thoughts on the 30th anniversary collection?
I can't wait to play. I mean, it's cool that I think 4 of the games have online functionality too, and they're varied.
Or
They're
a
not
few of them
like,
do.
yeah, like Third Strike. Was it Turbo? 2 Turbo, and I believe one of the what is it? Alphas, I believe. I don't know.
Why not?
Yeah, I don't think
But
we
that's
ever got
cool.
like a port of the original Street Fighter 3 to a home console. I know, like for the Dreamcast, they had Second Impact and Third Strike,
Yeah.
but I don't think we ever got the original one.
No, I don't think so.
And then the less said about Fighting Street, the better.
Yeah.
But it'll be cool to be able to play that, on with a real controller, because the controller for the TurboGrafx is not the greatest for fighting games.
The fight stick.
Oh, well, there's that though.
Yeah. Well, I'll be using it for my coaster for the rest of the podcast. There we go.
That makes it worthwhile.
Yeah, I don't want to damage my $20 coffee table.
So then with good games this year, I thought we could talk about Game of the Year stuff, kind of the whole shebang of that. So video game awards. I know a lot of people have already talked about this. We're kind of late just because it came out like after our last podcast, but
the next day, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But we got things.
You guys should have live streamed that shit.
There was a lot going on. Not really, but I think it's always fun to kind of talk about that stuff. I know a lot of people don't necessarily agree with video game awards. Chris, you said you didn't watch it at all.
Yeah, Daddy don't got cable.
Although it was
I don't either.
Streaming.
Daddy don't know nothing about no high-tech streaming shit.
It's on YouTube. It's on the Video Game Awards website. If there's a will, there's a way.
No, I will not give in to modern technology. No.
I don't usually.
As the guy who's doing a podcast, a video podcast over Google Hangouts.
I still couldn't figure out how to get it to work. That's why I'm the old ass retro gamer, man.
I had my grandson set it up for me.
Yeah.
I took my Geritol before we started the podcast.
Right on.
Yeah, so Video Game Awards, for anybody who might not know about them, it's kind of a newer award show hosted by Jeff Keighley, who's kind of known in the industry world. Jeff Keighley, aka the Dorito Pope. If anybody's seen those memes, because he had some shameless ad placing years prior.
Was it Cliffy B?
I don't know if he was there. I'm sure he's been at one of them, but it's been going on for a few years now.
Yeah, he's usually there somewhere lurking backstage, and everyone's like, "Oh, just bump into him." But this is the year I usually at least have it on in the background. Like I usually catch it late, but I'll watch it. Just kind of have it playing. But this year I didn't really at all. I just kind of, because all the lists were up of who won. I was like, cool, I can skip like dubstep performances and terrible rock bands playing.
Let the beat drop.
I didn't watch.
Well, they had like a death metal band once in a while. Maybe I'd be like, oh, I better check that out. That'd be cool.
Right. Yeah. It's improving. I didn't watch much. I'm always just kind of curious, just because I want to see what to kind of expect for the quality of the presentations and things like that. Until they start actually getting into the awards, then I stop watching. Sometimes I'll kind of flick back and forth so I can see like game announcements, as there were a few game announcements.
Yeah, that's all I knew about it. And the next morning I woke up and there was a slew of trailers online for all the new games. I'm like, oh, there was an award show last night. Woohoo!
But
I really checked out this year for as far as like video stuff.
Yeah, it's a very commercial deal. Lots of ads for other things besides video games.
Doritos and Mountain Dew.
Like I said, if anybody's never seen the Jeff Keighley Doritos Pope, just look. It's a stupid picture, but it's
Yeah.
it kind of shows you where things were started and where they are now, and how it is improving, but it's still got a way to go. But it's kind of neat because you kind of, everybody has their own list. All the gaming websites have their lists, and it's nice to get something that's more recognized by mass audiences.
Or like people who are like, oh, they just watch this and go, these are the only games that are worth playing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
GameStop gave it a 10, so it's the best game of the year. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Wait, GameStop also.
Or GameSpot. I meant GameSpot.
GameStop is also selling it. That's weird.
Yeah. Well, one thing I will say though is the Game Awards. The voting is done by a lot of industry people, where they actually. I don't know how many people are involved with voting for the games, but they actually had the Easy Allies. They brought them on to be like the judges for some of the games. So at least there is some integrity and credibility behind the voting. It's not just who can give them the most money to advertise their game.
Cliffy B going Gears of War 4 all the way, man.
I like
But love it or hate it, it's always interesting to see the votes and what's picked. I'm a person who almost never agrees with these lists. I tend to, I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm an underdog kind of guy, but I'm an underdog kind of guy.
Yeah,
but we also don't play every single game that comes out like these people seem to.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, damn.
I would like to. But I thought we could maybe kind of look at some of the main categories from the VGAs and share any thoughts that we had on it. And then after that, we can do kind of our own favorite games of the year list.
I like that idea.
So we'll just start at the top, kind of blow our load right at the beginning with the game of the year. So VGA's Game of the Year, they nominated Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, which
is what?
Totally don't agree with that being selected for a Game of the Year.
I've never even heard of that.
So you being, as you said, you're the old ass retro gamer, so if you're a little out of touch with things, that's okay. But PlayerUnknown's Battleground is basically it started out as a DayZ mod, the kind of the open world zombie game, where this is another kind of open world game. I think up to 100 players, where you start, everybody gets dropped in on this island, and as time progresses, there's kind of like this bubble or this energy field that closes a little bit to force people more into the center of this island to fight it out. And eventually the circle gets really small to the point where you could have a couple people in a house, and that's the whole fighting area.
Oh, so it's the Hunger Games.
Essentially, it's considered battle royale.
Yeah,
but it's super
super
popular right now. It's a big streamer game, and it's not a game for me. It seems like it's a lot about, there's some challenge and some skill involved, but there seems to be a very strong community of like trolling and encouraging of sociopathic behavior.
Oh God. It's like playing Munchkin.
Well, Munchkin's funny for everybody except the person getting screwed over. Where
getting effed in the A.
I absolutely love that game. Side note, I don't want to get off too much track here.
Sorry, my bad.
It's the non-Call of Duty game of the moment, basically.
Yeah, essentially. But I want to mention for Munchkin here, I've spent like $400 or $500 on Munchkin stuff. I have like the entire base game, all expansions, booster packs. I got the board, I got a pewter figure, I got counters, I got the zombie version of the game. I absolutely love Munchkin. If nobody's played Munchkin, check it out. It is so much fun.
I like checkers.
But other Game of the Year nominees were Persona 5 and Horizon Zero Dawn. So, of course, I I knew it was going to happen. I didn't agree with it. Not saying it's a bad game by any means, but Zelda Breath of the Wild won as Game of the Year. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Are you
Still haven't
surprised?
played it.
Are you surprised though?
Not really.
I can't be really surprised when it's Zelda. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a widely loved series for a reason, and as we mentioned before, we've both played this game. I really enjoyed it. I really wanted to play Horizon Zero Dawn. I own that as well. It's in my pile here, but I didn't get around to it by the time other things kept getting in the way. It came out really close to Zelda, which probably didn't help with me playing it right away, and then it kind of got lost in the shuffle as I picked up more stuff. But at least I got to hear reviews of it from you, so I know like it's definitely worth playing. Very close to, it's pretty close to the top of the pile of stuff I need to play next.
Yeah, it's
yeah, same with Persona 5. I got that really cheap when it came out and haven't even put it in yet. I've actually never tried the series, so that was actually going to be kind of my jumping on point to try the series. I own 2, 3, 4, and 5, and I've never tried them out, and I was just kind of like looking for a jumping on point. No, not yet. I might. I think I have the arena one for 360 as well. But
that's actually really fun.
yeah, I do gotta try that one out. It's just a fighting game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've really gotta give that series a try. It's one of those ones where I've kind of always been tempted to try it out because I've always heard good things, but I've never gotten around to actually checking it out. Just kind of like with Yakuza, where that kind of jumped up to the top of the pile with the Yakuza 0, because I've always been curious and had, no real jumping on point. You don't really want to start at 3 or 4, but 0 sounds like a good spot to start at. 0 or 1. So I was like, thankfully this year both those came out. Yeah, but as far as Zelda goes, it is an amazing game. I don't really have much complaints about it. People seem to be complaining about it. I can agree with it being the worst as far as music goes, because it's not just constantly. There's not a theme for everywhere you go. It's kind of like hit miss. It's just very atmospheric more than it is orchestral everywhere you go kind of stuff. Like the Lost Woods had its own song, and each temple has its kind of own song about the bosses and stuff like that. Well, there is a bit of that. It's not all the way throughout. So that's a bit of a letdown as far as being a Zelda fan goes, but I also understand it, as this is a completely different Zelda game than we've ever had before.
Sure.
I would really like to have at least played Horizon to compare the two of them, because especially since they came out close together.
And they seem very similar.
Yeah, the same similarities they've been getting compared a lot. I wanted to see how they actually compare to each other. And
I would say they're a lot more different than people are giving them credit for. A lot of people are basically just saying, "Oh, they're both open world games," and I think technically yes, they are, but vastly different presentation and how you do the games. Horizon's a very story focused game. Breath of the Wild has a story, but it's not like always there, where
it's not driving the game.
Right. And Horizon definitely, like, it's I mean, you could spend a lot of the game just, screwing around and exploring and stuff like that, but there is, there's your main quest and you got your side quests.
Yeah.
And the story unfolds before you as you play through it, where Breath of the Wild's like, this is your objective, do your objective, and they throw in some stuff in there.
Or just keep looking for the shrines and be more powerful, so when you do that, you're better equipped to do it.
Yes.
Which is what pretty much everyone feels they need to do. You're like, oh, so should I go after Ganon and only have like 3 hearts, or should I do all these shrines, buy all the hearts and get the Master Sword? Because to get the Master Sword, you need enough hearts to even be able to pull it out of the ground without dying.
I'm going with shrines.
Shrines.
Shrines all the way.
Breath of the Shrines, it should be called.
I'm shrining today.
Because your breath stops when you've been walking around, haven't seen a shrine in a while, and all of a sudden the little thing comes up on you, you're like, oh.
Yeah,
So that's why it should be called Breath of the Shrines, because that's what it feels more like. I mean, they're fun. They're not a slog to do. It's a puzzle, and that's why they don't have as many dungeons. The dungeons themselves are the divine beasts. I don't know. I found it a really good game. It's deserving of the praise it gets, as far as I'm saying. That being said, I do have a Zelda wedding ring and Link tattooed on my arm.
Bias!
But
fanboy,
little bit.
I'm not saying that those games weren't deserving. I mean, at least there was a varied list for Game of the Year. It wasn't just like a bunch of first-person shooters, all like AAA games.
Yeah, I was surprised that Persona made the list.
Yeah,
and
although I think there were some, I think they should have included more games, because there's a few other games that I was absolutely shocked made no list for the VGAs for any category, and it's like
exactly.
It's insane. But then again, like I said, that's me.
And how we were saying that this is like the year for video games.
Yeah. So it's
narrow it down to 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should at least have 10 to keep you like.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Who would win? At least
there was a big year for AAA games.
Yeah. So then I guess my thoughts real quickly is I'm totally not surprised. I knew it was either going to go to Breath of the Wild or Odyssey, because that's just how people go. Their beloved series. I'm not as big of a fan as everybody else seems to be, and that's fine. You know, we all have our niches and things like that. I have played Breath of the Wild, and I did really, really enjoy what I played, and I'm really looking forward to finishing the game. I'm going to be trying to get a Wii U here in the next couple months, I think, and I'll just pick it up on there. But I personally, I wouldn't have picked it as my game of the year, which I am not picking it as my game of the year, which we'll get to in a little bit here. But you know,
yeah, I'm as much as I say it's deserving the praise, it's not even my game of the year.
But it is what it is, and you know,
it's not going to be my game because I haven't even played it yet.
Right.
What?
So let's see. I was just looking at one of the other lists that I thought would be fun to look at was best indie game, and they had nominated Cuphead, Pyre, Night in the Woods, What Remains of Edith Finch, and Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice.
I just ordered the Edith Finch game from I Am 8-Bit.
I did as well, mostly
knowing nothing about it.
Yeah, same here. This is one of the few times where the amount of praise that I wasn't aware of and suddenly saw because of the Video Game Awards bringing my attention to it. I'm like, okay, well, if this game is getting that much of attention, I got to check it out.
Yeah, that's the only good thing I find from awards shows like this, is that it might actually bring attention to stuff. It's not always just the most popular games. That's why it's good that they have a couple categories like that, because you might I have literally only heard of 2 games on that list.
Yeah.
Up until that list came out, and I was like, I actually had to look up a few. So that's always a good feeling when you feel like it's at least a bit informative, even if you don't agree with it.
I have never heard of Pyre or Night in the Woods before.
Pyre I haven't. Night of the Woods I have, and I hear it's pretty good. One thing I will say that's kind of neat with this category is kind of the different level, I guess, of kind of indie games that there are there. You know, you got the walking sim, what remains to be Edith Finch. Of course, everybody knows Cuphead, this just amazingly gorgeously animated game,
yet brutal.
And then you got something like Hellblade, which is, you know, pretty much like AAA quality from an indie studio. I mean, Ninja Theory's been around for a while. It's, you know, this isn't their first rodeo. Of course, they had Heavenly Sword and what was the PS3 game, the Odyssey of the West.
Oh, Enslaved.
Enslaved. Thank you.
Yeah.
Best
Those are
game.
both excellent games.
Love that game.
It was a great game. I had a lot
They were
of fun
both
with it.
they were both good games. I like
Heavenly Sword was amazing.
Yeah.
Then, of course, with, as you guys could guess, this year, Cuphead won Best Indie Game for VGAs, which not surprised.
Yeah.
No. I mean, that game had everyone's attention from the announcement, just from the animation style.
Yeah.
And then when we played it and actually was fun and challenging, it kind of roped everyone in.
It delivered everything it seemed to promise.
Yeah.
So good. I'm glad it wasn't just a pretty and easy game. Like, you're like, oh, it was beautiful that 2 hours it took me to beat it.
Yeah.
Like,
Although, after I look at all these games, I kind of wish Hellblade won, because I hear that it has a very interesting story and something to actually say.
Yeah, and that's kind of the interesting thing, especially about this year, is just the sheer amount of like what I would consider must-play games, like great, amazing games, like very unique, and only being able to pick one.
yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, like having 5 to choose from for the voting. I mean, I'm glad that they're able to narrow it down that much.
Yeah.
But like, most people, even personally, on a year like this, would have trouble.
Yeah. I mean, the Oscars have 10 movies for Best Picture.
Exactly. I mean, and a lot of that stuff, like, speaking of not agreeing with an award show, like, it's always like 3/4 of the movies you haven't heard of, unless you're like a huge film buff and like to check out these
Hi there.
like indie movies that, action and like the popular like franchise stuff never gets anything except for maybe like, oh, the music was nice.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen the movie? The CG.
It got best sound editing.
Yeah. You're like, oh, and that, yeah, like one of the untelevised awards it gets or something. Like, all right, that my favorite movie that I've seen all year. Got,
Yeah, and I will say, for the most part, the vast majority of the games covered in the VGAs I'm familiar with. There's a couple that not so much, but
the only stuff I
Yeah.
wasn't with, like, some of the indie stuff and some of the stuff for things that don't interest me. Like,
It's interesting that they have a Best Student Game
yeah,
category.
they have some very diverse categories.
Yeah.
at least everyone got kind of a chance to.
To some extent.
Like these could be like the big hitters, working in the industry over the next 10 years. It's kind of cool that they're like giving them a little platform to show off the fact that they actually show promise.
Yeah.
They're like up and comer game of the year. Kind
Yeah.
of.
That's kind of cool that they do that. That's nice.
Yeah, a couple. I will say, over all the lists, the two biggest glaring omissions that I saw. I mean, of course, this is my opinion. They did include Hollow Knight as best debut indie game, which I don't really understand what that means compared to like just best indie game. And then
The first one from the studio, isn't it?
yeah. Oh, maybe that. But so was the Cuphead developer. That was their first game too. So, but the Cuphead was also in the debut indie game category. But I don't know. I thought somewhere on the list should have been Gravity Rush 2.
Yeah.
I mean, that's me, I guess.
No,
Did
you
I win them
got
all?
my support, man. You got it.
Exactly. Like, there's a couple of ones that were left out that I really thought should have been in there, and
Yeah.
a few games just got more higher praise. I think because for being a AAA game than it was owed. But
Right.
like I said, who agrees with that shit?
Although I am going to call BS on this best fighting game thing. Why was ARMS even nominated?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Nintendo, that's why.
And I will agree with you there. I'm not one.
Game.
I'm definitely not one who's.
Or something.
Huh?
Like, if you gotta have a Nintendo one, at least have fucking Tournament DX.
Yeah. I mean, I would have been okay with that, but like ARMS is just kind of like, I do this all the time.
Right.
No,
Um,
that's not a fighting game.
I thought I was playing Donkey Konga again. I forgot.
Donkey Kong Blast. Jungle
Yeah.
Beat.
There was some interesting categories, I thought. Some very questionable things. I just had a thought pattern and I lost it. So give me 1 second while I get my thoughts again.
Yeah, toss out that best mobile game category.
Well, like, I think Yakuza should have been on there somewhere too. So Yakuza 0 is an amazing game.
I am still shocked that Persona made the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, for some.
I am like when you gave us the link to this page, I was just like, what? Like,
Yeah.
got nominated for more than one thing too.
Yeah, and I will say, Jason, everybody that I've heard that's played Yakuza 0 has loved it. And it could just be biased for the some of the circles I'm involved with, but anecdotal evidence supports more. What's that?
I mean, I had the outside interest in trying out the series for a while anyway,
Yeah.
and it's
good.
I'm kicking myself for not trying the series like immediately when it came out.
Do you like cheesy movies?
Well, if you look at the cover of the first one, honestly, I thought it was a fighting game.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
It kind of is.
For the longest time, I thought it was just, like one-on-one,
It's
like
Grand
Mortal
Theft
Kombat,
Auto.
Street Fighter.
Yeah, it's like Grand Theft Auto and a beat 'em up and
Shenmue.
yeah, a little bit of Shenmue, but it's like, do you like cheesy movies? Because it's like playing a soap opera, a Japanese soap opera.
Where you kick people and hit them with motorcycles.
Where you kick people in the dick.
Yeah.
So I just remembered where I was going at was the category of best strategy game.
Oh,
I think this is one of those times when I think this is pure Nintendo. I mean,
yeah,
I
speak
speak out against Nintendo plenty. I don't think they make bad games by any means. I think they get way more credit than they deserve.
Yeah,
And the fans are just foaming at the mouth over these games. So, best strategy game this year, nominees were Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, XCOM 2, Tooth and Tail, Total War, Warhammer 2, and Halo Wars 2. And how the fuck Mario and Rabbids wins best strategy game over an XCOM game or a Total War game?
it's one for the X-Files.
Yeah, I was like, what?
That's called Nintendo's got fuck you money.
Yeah. Of all the categories, that's really the only way.
Back from the Wii U, that's what it is.
I haven't even played XCOM 2, and I know that should have won.
Yeah. That or the Total War game.
Yeah, I mean, like even Halo Wars 2. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, I've been working on that since I'm not a big RTS guy, but and I'm not even a big Halo guy, but I loved the first Halo Wars.
Yeah.
So I picked it up like a while back, but it was right before I went to Minneapolis and went game shopping with church. So
I picked it up on a Black Friday, and I still haven't played it.
I think it's because I got it for a good deal. I mean, if I paid close to full price, I'd be like, that's going to be in the next 2 days. I'm playing that.
Yeah.
If I pay full price, it's because
I picked it up because it was $15.
I think I got it for like 22 or something like that. So it does.
But you look at this lineup and you're like, how the hell did Mario win?
That's.
That makes no sense.
And then people are like, well, you're just a Nintendo hater. You're not giving the game a chance.
I'm a realist.
Yeah.
And from what I played of it, it's not an amazing strategy game. Like I'm
not saying it's a bad game by any means.
No, I mean, I watched footage of it on YouTube, and it looks okay, but best strategy game of the year?
I didn't get gripped by it, that's for sure. I wasn't like, oh my god, set everything aside.
Yes.
Play this.
All about the rabbits. If it was Mario and Porgs, maybe.
Please no.
Yeah.
So
let them die. Let them die.
I think then we should probably move into maybe some discussion about our favorite games of the year.
Ooh.
I figured at this point, I'm just checking on how we're doing on time. I think maybe we could do the top 3, and then we could just do like a quick other like maybe like 2 or 3 honorable mentions after the lists of other
Sure.
games that we think that deserve some attention. So, so top, or I would say favorite 3 games of the year for 2017, and we'll just go around, each pick our number 3, and then our number 2, and then our number 1. So, Chris, being our guest, would you like to start off with your 3rd favorite game of the year?
Sure.
Of the games that you had the chance to play.
Yeah, of the hundreds I have in my collection that I have yet to unwrap. Yeah, sure.
100 from this year?
Oh, I'm a huge shmup fan, so I kept on hearing about this, and I was curious, and I was surprised that it actually paid off being pretty rad.
I think I know what it might be.
Yeah, you think? Maybe, possibly, could be. Huh? Might know. Sinmora EX.
Oh,
Gotcha. Yeah, I was just, the thing about this is just it's different for a shooter because it actually has a story.
Mhm.
And for a Nintendo game that there's lots of F-bombs. It just shocked the hell out of me that there's this guy going like, we need to get the fuck over there right now and blow some shit up. But it keeps changing perspectives, and it's just different. It's really hard to explain. Probably because I've only played maybe halfway through it. But yeah, it's just for a shmup. You kind of get tired of playing the same old shmup games. It's either vertically or it's horizontal, and they're all kind of played the same way. This one just kind of like revitalized me on the genre a little bit because it was just so different.
I've been hearing really good stuff about it, but I haven't picked it up yet.
It's worth it, but the Switch one is the hardest one to find, so I'd snap it up while you can before it disappears, because I think this had a limited run.
Okay, yeah,
But,
I found it a couple of times, but I like I said, I wasn't paying full price because I was supposed to be Christmas shopping.
Oh. But yeah, it's got a really cool story, and the mechanics are really good. The bosses are epic. It's so much fun, and the music is cool, and it really deserves that M rating right there.
Good.
I dig it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, but it's available for all the other consoles too. It's available for the PS4 and the Xbox One and all that. So
awesome.
I
go for
highly recommend it.
I'd go for the Switch one if it doesn't include that 30% Nintendo markup.
No,
Yeah.
So I hope I find it for a good price.
I think it was just slightly more expensive than the other consoles. It was just maybe like $2 more expensive.
Well, Canada has. We don't have the markup in the U.S. that everybody else has, which a lot of people don't know about, and they're surprised when I tell them that.
Oh, I hear the happy console gamer bitching about it a lot.
Yeah.
No, I mean like other games will go on, like the other versions will go on sale at some point, whereas Nintendo never.
The Nintendo never do. Yeah.
Yeah, the Black Friday, I was actually surprised that it was not like a game that everyone should have already. Like, oh, Mario 3D Land on the 3DS is on sale now. It's $10. Like, yeah, if you don't have that, you don't want it.
Yeah. When I went to Target on Black Friday, like I went to the Sega or the Sega, my ass, the Sony area, and like half the stuff was on sale, half the Microsoft stuff was on sale. You go to the Nintendo area, and like 2 games are on sale.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was getting at. I mean, I know our dollar isn't worth as much, so like your $60 games are our $80 games.
Oh, that sucks, dude.
But as far as that goes, I do a lot of my shopping on Amazon anyway, and I've said it before, I live in a small town where Walmart's basically the only option. So as far as Switch stuff goes anyway, there's barely anything to choose from. The really surprising amount of stuff will come here, like something I don't expect shows up out of nowhere, like Raiden 5.
Yes.
And I was like, what? And then I bought Yakuza Kiwami on Amazon, and then it showed up probably about 2 weeks after it came out at our Walmart. And I was like, what? I've never seen a Yakuza game here. That's why I don't have the Yakuza games and stuff like that. Like,
Sure.
So that's why I'm forced to do a lot of online shopping or splurge a lot when I go out of town. Like I might seem like a high roller when I come to visit, but that's because I've been saving all my money.
You're starved of stuff to spend your money on.
Yeah, exactly. It's either Amazon or that for the most part. I mean, especially now that I don't get the discount at Walmart that I used to get because I don't work there anymore. Worth it.
Yeah.
I barely buy anything unless it's at a cheap bin or it's on like a Black Friday deal.
I highly recommend if you guys do that Best Buy Players Unlocked thing to get with that. That is really good.
Yeah, I've heard really good stuff about it.
Yeah. Good stuff
All right,
about GCU. So Jason, number 3, what is your third favorite game of the year?
Well, I'd have to say my third favorite would be one we've already talked about. It's Breath of the Wild. Not
one of us. One of us.
I enjoyed it thoroughly, enough that when presented with a cheap copy of the Switch one, and not just to preserve my complete collection, besides CDI, which doesn't count at all.
I think it counts.
It doesn't count. Shut up. It doesn't even count as a console.
Stop trying to make them spend money.
Trying to make the CDI happen. It's not a thing. Yeah, like we've already said why. I've already said why I like it, so I don't need to go into any more detail on it. But yeah, it's deserved, and that's just out of the games that I've gotten to play this year.
Still have to play it.
Yeah, you have to.
I'm afraid. I'm very afraid.
Well, it's one of those games where I'm like, well, I don't buy into anything hyped. If I'm hyped for something, I'm hyped for it already. I'm not hyped because
trust me, the hype is there.
I've been told I gotta like.
Time.
Yeah, I'm afraid of the 200 hours spent playing this game. That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, it's the only game I've used amiibos on. Just because I had some open ones from when I made my daughter's birthday cake a couple years ago, and she asked for a Mario and Zelda and all that other crap.
Will Shovel Knight work?
I don't feel like opening all these guys to get a couple of random chests and crap, but yeah, I had about 5 or 6 open ones that, yeah, they come in handy for sure.
I think the non-Zelda amiibos, they just give you like
a bunch of random shit will fall out of the sky. You just go like this, go bloop, and I'm like steaks and cabbage and a rock. And then,
it's like Hyrule Warriors did that when you put a non-usable character on the pad.
Yeah, it just gives you a bunch of random crap. So
yeah, I'd be like, here's 2 coins you can spend maybe.
I definitely took advantage of the amiibos because I wanted the I didn't have the Ocarina of Time link opened, and I didn't want to open them just to get the Ocarina of Time suit. But I did have the Smash Bros. Link and all that kind of stuff, and Ganondorf and Zelda because my daughter wanted a Zelda cake, and I also had a Pikachu, Mega Man opened, and a Mario. So I just used all those guys to get the random crafting crap. But when you put on one of the other guys, they gave you a chest if it was Zelda related at all, any of the Zelda ones. And if it was the Twilight Princess one, you had a chance at getting a piece of the Twilight Princess outfit. But I think people seem to think that you just put it on there and you automatically get it. Like, no, I had to I would back out, change the calendar to the next day so I could just keep doing it. And the Twilight, or it was the Twilight Princess one took me the longest time. It would have taken me like every day doing the amiibos because you could only do it once a day. It would have taken me probably 6 months of playing every day and trying to do it because I backed out a lot. And
that's gambling.
Yeah. So yeah.
Ban it. Make it illegal.
The loot boxes. It was like a season pass by buying an amiibo. I get to use it like every day for 6 months. But yeah, definitely. That's the only time they've ever come in handy. And now my Wii U thinks it's like been 2018 for 4 months. So yeah, I like that it actually made it feel like there was a point to having these besides what I do with them.
Yeah.
And then Doc Brown shows up and goes, Wii U, you got to go back in time. Something's going on with your kids.
Yeah. How old are my kids? I can't tell by this. I mean, I didn't see that online anywhere. So if anyone didn't know that, definitely do that back out, and it'll count. You can use your amiibos as much as you want. So I was stocked up on a bunch of pretty decent weapons and stuff too. So, whatever, call me a cheetah. I don't care. It sure sucks having like one sword and then you fight a semi badass character and then you're like, okay, that was cool having a sword for a bit. I sure enjoyed that. Now back to a cheap woodcutter axe.
Yep.
Anyway, what's the next selection?
Yeah, so my number 3, of course, I think probably with all three of us, it's not easy trimming down a list to 3 when there's so many good games released this year. So I actually, as we were starting to talk here and throughout the whole podcast, I've been switching a couple games around just because I can't decide for number 3. It's like, oh, if I mention this, then I'm leaving those games out. But I don't know. So there's actually been some discussions I've been seeing lately of, and I forgot the exact phrase that they used. Like you tend to have more bias towards games you played recently because it's fresh, and as time goes on, like games will kind of settle more into the back. So it's like this like recency priority or something. I don't remember what it's called, but that's what I'm going to lean with for my number 3. And just because, like I said, I'm a very underdog sort of person. I think a lot of these games that don't get the representation very well deserve it. And it was a fantastic game. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I've talked about it many times on the podcast. And so my number 3 is going to be Hollow Knight.
Oh, I'm going to say Shantae.
Shantae was last year, and I didn't even include that in my top 3 last year.
He's like, it's too predictable. It's my number 1 all time. my non-Shantae game of the year is your
yeah. So I will say with Hollow Knight, again, from a fledgling indie studio, the amount of effort, care, and attention, especially into the world itself, the amount of detail, and just some of the persistent changes as you progress through the game. There's not a lot, but the just the little things like really stand out to me. And I mean, the gameplay was absolutely solid. They, as much of like any other Metroidvania, there's plenty of backtracking, and other than some things that I kind of brought upon myself, like when you're trying to like not necessarily do like 100% achievements, but you're like, oh, I want to do all these little things just to get this one special item that I don't even really care about too much. A little bit of that can get tedious, but that's like with any game when you're trying to, do like damn near 100%. But for the most part, like backtracking was a blast just to see these areas again, because they're so unique and separate from one another, but it all fits into this cohesive world that they kind of paint with not so direct story. And the art style is gorgeous. It kind of has this like almost like, it's definitely like a cartoony look to it, and I believe it's probably done by cell shading, but it has a hand-drawn look. Of course, Cuphead, I don't want to sell that game short. Like the animation for Cuphead is absolutely amazing. Gameplay was rock solid, but I spent a lot more time with Hollow Knight. It tends to be the games that make me where I'm like, okay, maybe I can just make it through this next little area kind of thing where I'm actually losing sleep. That are the games that really stand out to me. And Hollow Knight was definitely one of those where I never felt like, okay, I need a break for a while. It's always, I just want to keep playing.
Yeah, where you sneak into your game room to get like 10 minutes of play on it just to get somewhere in it and feed the addiction for a little bit.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, honey, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick.
You've been pooping for 2.5 hours. It's stuck.
And,
I hear you yelling that from the game room.
and like I said, Hollow Knight is they're still working on some DLC, but it's completely free. The first one or two are out already. and there's going to be another story-based one coming out here pretty soon. And as I mentioned earlier, this is coming out for the Switch sometime early next year, so definitely keep your eyes out for it. Hopefully there will be a physical version, as is the only physical version of Hollow Knight was an indie box release a few months ago, which of course those pretty much sell out because it's only for subscribers. You can go on eBay and find them and stuff though, but of course it doesn't come with a physical disc. It's a digital download code, but comes with a box and some extra goodies and stuff. But here's hoping there's a Switch version, and I might actually consider buying that even if I don't have a Switch, just because I love the game that much.
Bundle it together.
Yeah. So let's go on to our number 2 picks. So Chris, what is your number 2?
Okay. Yeah, my number 2 is a game that I do not like originally.
Okay.
It got remade into a game I do like.
Okay.
I can see the gears turning there a little bit.
I'm working on it.
Metroid Samus Returns.
Oh, interesting.
I hate Metroid 2. I hate Metroid 2. I hate it. That game is designed. I think the design in that game is so shitty.
It was
interesting.
It was the hardest one I played to figure out.
Yes,
it was also my first Metroid game.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I remember I threw my Game Boy across the room. Luckily, there was a couch there to catch it, but I threw my Game Boy across the room because that game frustrated me beyond belief. But they remade it, and they improved it. They fixed everything. They put new stuff in it. There's new areas. There's new weapons. There's new combat tactics where you can smack an enemy and get a one-shot kill on them. And it's just, I only usually play my handheld games. It's going to be gross on the toilet.
Hey, fair enough.
This actually makes me bring my Game Boy into bed. And I play it while I'm sitting in bed. I hope I washed my hands first, but
yeah. So
but it is so much fun. And like, they even kind of sort of put a little bit of a story in there. It's vague, but I mean, at least there's something there to like tie it into the storyline for like the rest of the games. And it's just so much fun. And I can't remember the name of the people who developed it. Yeah.
It's in my, I'm holding out on getting a new 3DS or even 2DS, whatever, because I've got about 3 or 4 games that are like at least enhanced by it that I want to play, and I'm like, I'm gonna get that before I try this out. But
God, yeah. But like,
I need to put a rush on that.
But yeah, the level design in the original game like was super frustrating to me, and they fixed it all. So now it's like you find yourself always progressing now. I mean, it's not like it's easy or anything, but it's so well. They improved on the design of everything, so it's not like you're gonna pull your hair out trying to figure out where you need to go next. You kind of always know where you need to go next to get to the next weapon that's gonna get you to the next level, and it just works.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Completely redeemed Metroid 2 in my eyes.
Interesting. I enjoyed Metroid 2 as it is one of the first reviews that I did. I hadn't played it back in the 90s, but I definitely do want to play Samus Returns. It looks like a lot of fun.
So good, dude.
I need to get a 3DS still. I don't have 3DS yet. So.
You can play it on a 2DS?
Or 2DS. I am curious, did you play AM2R by chance?
No, I have a Mac and I downloaded it. Does not want to boot. So could not play. I trust me, I'm a huge Metroid fanboy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love me some Metroid. I own every Metroid game out there right now, except for Freedom Force. Not buying that fucking piece of shit. Anyway,
whoa,
Internet 5. Woo. So yeah,
I can't find that though because
Jason can.
I'll get it eventually. It's just like I'd rather play Metroid Pinball than that. I spit in your general direction.
$5. I think it was like $5. I didn't go day one. That definitely wasn't a day one. That was like I haven't bought a 3DS game in a while.
That was a day 365 purchase.
Yeah. Like it was a clearance purchase. Like, oh, it's not even come out of the case yet, and it's on clearance. That's
it was on clearance before it was even released. But
yeah. I've heard stuff like it's a decent game. It's just not a Metroid-y game.
Yeah.
Like,
it's more of like sounds like it's more of a multiplayer online type of game than anything.
It sounds like it was one of those they kind of like they did with Star Fox Adventures, and it was just kind of like, no, make that Metroid.
Yeah, make that a Metroid game. Yeah.
Yeah. Miyamoto just came in the room and was just like, "Oh, this is a
the funny
Metroid
thing
game
is,
now."
if you watched the Nintendo World Championships where they debuted it and they showed the people that they had on stage that were in the competition playing it, one of them was Aaron from Game Grumps. If you watched his face while he was playing it, the whole time he was like, "The fuck is this?" It was amazing. But yeah, I'm a huge Metroid fanboy. I just for some reason I just can't get into Part 2 at all. Like, I don't know why.
It can be a tough one, especially going back to it if you didn't play it, just because the lack of a lot of the refinements that have been added to games over time. There wasn't even a map.
Yeah,
that's I think the biggest problem with Metroid 2 is like you had no way of like, unless you had those things memorized or had graph paper and drew it all out, you would always be completely perpetually lost.
Or had Nintendo Power.
I was missing two things: Nintendo Power, the internet, and I didn't know anyone else who played it too. So I guess that's three things. But I was stuck on that game for the longest time. Just like another game that I stuck on forever, it was Link's Awakening. I think I didn't play it for a little while, and then all of a sudden I was just wandering around every time I played it until I was just like, oh yeah, now I remember, and then I like knew exactly where to go. But it was like, those are the two games that I was stuck on the longest out of every Game Boy game I played.
Sure.
Yeah. And I'm not a controller thrower. I'm not the type of person that gets like super frustrated and just says, fuck this game, and like throws the controller at the screen. No, I mean, but like literally that game angered me to the point where I almost ruined this Christmas present I got for my parents. But like I said, luckily there was a couch there to cushion its fall, so nothing bad happened. But like, it frustrated me that much.
I definitely had some FU moments while playing Metroid 2. Yeah. It's a challenging game, and
definitely
there's a lot of times when, for me, it was like you're getting through these areas and you're progressing, and you get to this point where like
dead stop.
you're out of everything. You got like no health, you got no missiles. It's like, crap, what am I gonna do if I go back? I'm just gonna get stuck again, and you just get lucky until you can finally progress.
Yeah,
definitely. It's definitely
like having that wall crawl ability in this makes it so much easier.
Oh yeah, definitely would.
So then, Jason, what is your number 2?
I guess the upside to not getting to play as much is this is all I have to choose from that I've played that came out this year, and two of them were Zelda, so that makes it a bit easier.
It's the same game though,
and
plus two more. I have 2 that are lent out.
Yeah, and for anybody watching, that's just the games released this year that you've added to your collection, not all games you've added to your collection.
Yeah, that's just the ones I've played this year. I'm at I think 50 that came out this year.
Yeah,
I feel your pain, bro. Internet 5.
There's like 18 that I've actually played, and like I said, 2 of them are Zelda. So, but I played both of them, so it counts. But anyway, without further ado, this game might end up being my actual game of the year with more play. But as it stands now, it is my number 2 pick, and that is one we already talked about as well, Yakuza 0.
Whoop, whoop.
I'm a hardcore fan of this series right out of the gate playing this game. I can't. I want to put it down to get to the game that I started before this came in the mail, because I was really loving it, and I don't want to short it in any way. But yeah, Nier Automata was a really amazing game. But this game,
he liked it so much he disappeared.
It gripped me. He's just had enough of me.
Like, you and your fucking Yakuza.
Just dibs out. I'm out of here. He's actually driving to my house to choke me, and that's a 5.5 hour drive.
Yeah.
Playing Nier Automata, you bastard.
Feeling how you guys are showing off all your games and stuff.
It's hard when you're doing nothing but digital download stuff, man.
That's actually seems like he's as much of a proponent for physical media as I am. So yeah, that's mine. I guess, like I said, with Zelda, I already talked in detail about how much I enjoyed that game. So that's it for me. I really want to get more into these. Too bad they're all like very long games, so it'll take me a long time.
Dude, you have no idea.
The bummer is that they're also all expensive. They're all like at least a $40 game.
Well, not the ones for like the PS3. Those you can get for a couple bucks each.
Oh, not online. Anyone wants to find, they're like even on Amazon and shit. I mean, I'll keep an eye out, but I got lucky and got Yakuza 1 for PS2 just given to me, so maybe someone will just give me the rest.
Two got a recent like reprint.
Yeah, I remember we were talking about it when it came out. And
Yeah, I just so happened to be on Amazon the moment that shit popped up, and I was like, oh yes. Give it to me.
I needed it, but I had not the fundage and the okay.
I sold some blood.
I would have stole some blood and sold some blood, but no one wants the blood that I can steal.
That's a Dr. Seuss story, isn't it?
Yeah. I stole the blood and then I sold the blood and other wacky things. Anyway, Church, what's your number 2?
So my number 2, as it seems like we keep. Oh, well, a lot of people will just totally disagree with me on this one. That's totally fine. Like I said,
that's why it's your second choice.
Absolutely. And again, like I said, I'm a big underdog person. I already mentioned this one, but had to be my pick because it was actually a series that the first game I played at the beginning of this year. I'd never played it before. Absolutely loved it. I got it. It'd come out years prior. So I thought it looked interesting, picked it up because I heard it was kind of like it wasn't a limited run, but I knew it wasn't going to be a big print, so I decided to pick it up. Played it, loved it in preparation of the upcoming sequel, and I was like, I am absolutely getting this. But with that said, Gravity Rush 2. Yeah. Like I said, I love the first game. The world, the characters, they're just very enjoyable characters. The story is unique and interesting. Gravity Rush 2, a lot of times sequels do the whole, everything's bigger and, that's just all they do is just make it more. And of course they did. They made the entire game world a lot larger, but there's so much more you can do. There's so much more story to enjoy, and just a lot of the little enhancements and different skills that they added to the game. And the story it's crazy. If you played the first game, you start getting these inklings of some things that are going on, and they don't really go into it. They don't give you the answers during the first game. Like the game ends and you're like, what? Where's my answers?
The Force Awakens?
But Gravity Rush 2, they do a pretty good job of wrapping that up and kind of, for me anyway, is like blowing your mind doing it. I love just some of these twists, like completely out of nowhere, and it's I don't want to say too much because I want people to experience the game themselves. Definitely Gravity Rush, the first one, or Gravity Rush Remastered, which is available digitally. I know the physical print of Gravity Rush Remastered's a little pricey at this point, but
not anymore. It's $35.
Oh, did they reprint it?
It was $100 like a couple months ago, which was what was preventing me.
I bought a copy of it, and then like 2 days later, next thing you know, everyone's online talking about how expensive it is. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I actually pre-ordered it, which is interesting.
I actually literally just looked because I was like, oh yeah, it was in my cart for a while, and then I kind of did a cart purge because I was like, these are just making me want to buy them too much. So I just kind of I got like a bunch of games I really wanted. I just took out of my cart because I was like, they're not super cheap, but they're affordable, which is why they're in my cart. But I'm like, the holidays are coming up. I need to not do that.
Yeah,
so remove the temptation.
And I will say, not shameless self-promoting, but shameless self-promoting. I did do a review for Gravity Rush Remastered, and I think I do a pretty good job of kind of explaining some of the presentation for Gravity Rush 1, or Gravity Rush 2, they really enhance it. There's been kind of a recent trend with some games in voice acting, not doing full voice acting with like actual, character dialogue, where they do these basically made up languages that I think is pretty neat. And Gravity Rush 2 did that very well. There's some
other games like to do that too.
Right.
SimSpeak.
Essentially, yes. And just more enhancements with like the motion comic storytelling style that they do. Now, I mean, Gravity Rush 2, loved it.
That's one of those games I was surprised actually got a sequel.
Yes.
Yeah, really. I mean, I think it was because of the popularity of them when they brought it to the remaster. Probably helped.
Well, 2 was already in development when they brought the remaster out.
Oh, okay.
So that
it was
means that
kind
the
of
Vita version was so popular, they said, let's just bring it to the PS4 now. That's just
Yeah.
it just blows my mind.
and I think it's a very underrepresented game. The people who I know who have played either of the Gravity Rush games really enjoy them, but it really seems like there's a big disconnect with like the gaming community as a whole. Just
the mass.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because
The hive mind.
it's a really unique game. Does some fun things, lovable characters, very unique, original story, especially like how they handle some of these things. Really cool. So yeah, check it out. Great game.
And speaking of games that I said, we don't get a good selection here a lot of the time. That is one of the games that did show up, and thankfully, I think we only got 2 copies, and the one copy sat there forever and ever, and then they side-faced it in the case, and it sat there, then it went on cheap, so I was like, give me that. Yeah. So I think I got it really cheap. I think it was 25 Canadian, something like that when I got it. So I was just like, all right, I'll try it out now.
Would that be considered one of those rare AA games?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm not sure what it. Honestly, I don't know a lot of the kind of like general thoughts on it. I know a few people. I have a few friends through YouTube that are big fans of the series, and besides that, like I don't really know a lot of what people think of the series. I'm involved with kind of like a Gravity Rush community. They're actually they're shutting down Gravity Rush 2's online servers next month, which isn't hugely detrimental to the game, but it's removing some kind of fun, unique features. So there's kind of like this big community that's really fighting to try to get Sony to keep those servers going. So I'd be interested to see if they listen, but
or at least do like our solution we had last time, where like they just kind of patch it in so you get those things.
Right.
There's like a little unlockable outfits and stuff like that. You said, right?
Yep.
So yeah, like or at least make them unlockable elsewhere, or like viable with in-game currency, or not microtransactions. I said in-game currency, like
right.
Yeah.
So you said there's an online community for Gravity Rush? Really?
Well, there's like it's like a
small
Twitter community.
Is there like Gravity Rush /fic?
No. It's basically just a group focused on bringing more people into the fold to help protest towards Sony to keep these servers going.
Probably about as much as like Darksiders 2 had the thing where you could like send weapons to another guy, kind of like Diablo does, but obviously Diablo has more online functionality than that. But I remember just before I saved my game before I beat it, and then my friend was just starting to play it, and I sent him all my weapons, and then I reloaded my save, kept all my weapons. So yeah, you probably had an easy go.
Yeah. So then with that, I think we can move on to our number ones. So our favorite picks of game of the year, not necessarily,
Of all time,
but
all
what
time
we enjoyed most this year
that we got to play.
Yeah.
Mine might be considered a cheat.
Okay.
Is it a collection?
No. It's a game that was released physically this year, but it was released digitally like 2 years ago.
I let it stand. Let's do it.
Okay, all right. And I actually talked about this at great length the last time I was on your podcast, so you might know exactly what that is. That's Axiom Verge. So I love my Metroidvanias too, and I've been waiting to play this for years. And I've heard so many good things about it. I was really hyped about it. Not willing to download it though because I don't do that shit. But it finally came out. I picked it up, and I've been streaming the shit out of it on Twitch. It's so much fun. I love all the different like upgradable weapons you can get, and it's not just like you get a new weapon and then you just have it for the rest of the game. You can actually upgrade each of them like 3 times, and like the different abilities you get, they're different than when you would get in like a typical Metroidvania. Like I love the jacket that lets me phase through walls. It is just so much fun, and the music is fantastic. The design is punishing, but not like frustratingly punishing.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's just some jumps that are just a hair's out of reach. You know, there's sometimes where I just want to like throw my controller, but I don't because, like I said, I don't do that. But yeah, I mean, like it's paced extremely well. I love everything about it. The art style is great. It's just super, super fun, and it's one of the best Metroidvania type games I think I've ever played.
Yeah, I actually just picked the multiverse edition up myself, and I really want to play it because I had a lot of people asking me after I started talking about Hollow Knight if I've played Axiom Verge and what my thoughts were comparing the two, and I haven't played Axiom Verge yet, so
Yeah,
I'm trying.
Last time.
Yeah, so I really want to try to play that as soon as I can.
The story is actually really interesting and different. It's hard to that's I don't want to ruin the story, but it's bizarre. But I mean, like the art design. I mean, just the fact that this whole game was made by one guy.
Yeah.
It blows like I've said it a lot tonight, but it blows my mind. And it like the music is fantastic and the art design is great. The level designs are really well thought out, and they're just frustrating enough to make you want to punch something sometimes. But it's a fantastic game, huh?
In a good way.
Yeah,
I want to happy punch something.
A puppy. No, but yeah, it lived up to every expectation I had for it. It's like 2 years of expectations, of hype in my own mind.
Awesome.
And it actually lived up to every one of it.
Self-hype is the best unless you get too excited by watching too many trailers or something. You're like, just give it to me already, please, and then it can't possibly.
My fan theories are right and yours are wrong.
Exactly.
But yeah, if you haven't played it, you really should.
I'm gonna get it on the Switch as soon as possible, and then I'll get it.
It's available physically on every single platform out there now, except the Wii U.
Oh, come on!
I wanted it for the Wii U, I really did, but I ended up
Hollow Knight was
PS4.
Hollow Knight was supposed to come out for the Wii U actually, but then they scrapped that idea.
Put the kibosh on that whole console. That's what they did.
Oh,
pretty much. Blame Nintendo and not the developers.
Yeah.
We'll still blame everyone else. It's Nintendo.
Hard to believe that a console failed because it didn't have any sports games.
Yeah, right.
Maybe that's why I like it so much, regardless.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I don't even have it, and I like it. So, Jason, what is your favorite game of the year?
It is lent out, so I can't hold it up. But it is Tales of Berseria for sure.
Awesome.
I was not gripped by a game more this year that I can think of where I was. Anytime I was even in my living room, I was loading up my PS TV to second screen it to my living room so I could play it. My family got into watching me play it because of the story. They thought it was so cool. And I didn't mind them watching me because it wasn't like a vulgar story or anyway. So like that was as I've said before, I'm a big fan of the Tales of series, and having just completed the series, I can hold it up there as my favorite one I've played for sure. I've probably played at least half of them now, enough to get a feel for the game at least. And other ones I beat, this is definitely the one that gripped me most. Right, I just had to be playing it. when I was home. Oh, I've got in like half an hour. I could probably get through at least get to where the next objective is and do that. And it was cool because me and you were playing at the same time,
Mhm.
and that was definitely a cool experience too. That definitely helped it because I'd be like, oh, what do you think of this part? And we'd kind of like mini review the area when you said you were at it, because I think I was like, started playing like a week ahead of you,
Yeah.
and I was, so we were close to the same part but not at the same part. So yeah, I just enjoyed like just the dark take on the series. It wasn't just as almost like happy-go-lucky as they generally are, even when they are in trouble.
Yeah, and I think we talked about
the
that.
dark character was like a really cool dynamic to this. Like everyone else was kind of like a happy character, and there's this chick that's like, yeah, whatever, let's just go there and I just want to go there and kill that guy. And
That's hot.
that's what was awesome.
Yeah, and that's definitely worth mentioning that. And I think we talked about it on a podcast earlier this year, but
yeah, it was like
especially when it comes to a lot of more Japanese or like kind of anime inspired storylines. Like you'll have this character who's like, oh, I'm dark and I'm angry and I'm gonna hurt a lot of people, but eventually then they get in with friends and they're like, okay, we're happy-go-lucky, you know. And Velvet, pretty much, she sticks to her guns like the whole time. Like she becomes less like psychopathic later on in the story, but she never gives up her main
she
goal.
She kind of fluctuates.
Yeah, I mean,
she's being like human now. Oh nope, now she wants to kill all the things that aren't in this little group. I equated it to being kind of like being the metalhead hanging out with a bunch of preppies, where they're always like all like excited about a thing, and you're like, yeah, whatever. I just love death metal, and you guys can like things that aren't death metal. I don't know what people who like who don't like death metal like, but yeah, but like, you know, just everyone else kind of seemed like to intertwine more, and then she kind of distanced herself from everyone else. And I think that's what I liked about her character so much. And then when she actually did show her human side, it made it a lot cooler. And like you're like, oh, she really is connecting with this person more. And that's what I really liked about her character in general. It was like something you don't see enough of, I find, in games. So the story of that game definitely is why I am giving it my game of the year. And also, I was a little bummed that I didn't see it mentioned literally anywhere at all.
Yeah, not any RPG list or anything.
Right there. So I might be the only person who puts that at the top of their list. And
I
definitely say everyone should check it out.
Yeah, for sure. As a person who, and I've talked about this before, that a lot of people think it's ridiculous, but it is what it is. Final Fantasy X to Tales of Berseria, I didn't play any JRPGs because I hated Final Fantasy X that much. It completely ruined JRPGs for me. I loved JRPGs, and 10 just ruined it for me. It is what it is, as stupid as that may be, but I've seen so many other JRPGs over the years that I thought that game looks really cool. I just never jumped on it, never went and played them. I have games in my collection, you know, plenty of JRPGs from 2002, or when was Final Fantasy X?
I think it was 02.
So basically then until now, you know, 15 years, and Berseria, like it sold me, and for me it was a great game to get back into JRPGs. Now I just need to make the time to play some of these other games. Like I really, really want to play Persona 5. I want to play Persona 4. I want to play a bunch of the other Tales games.
That's the number one gamer problem.
Yeah, it's you know.
To me that you took my recommendation that seriously, that you came out of retirement.
Yeah. So here's to the future. I know they don't do it a lot with the Tales of series, and I don't really want them to, but I've heard some whisperings of a potential Berseria 2.
Oh, really?
I don't know how that would work with how they
done that like once or twice, haven't they?
That would make it kind of weird.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Tales. There's two Tales of Symphonia. There's Destiny 1 and 2, but Destiny 1 and 2 is just the names.
Different.
North America. They're just called that.
Yeah, Zillia 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And actually, Tales of Berseria and I kind of put Tales of Zestiria because they're in the same world. World, it's just like thousands of years apart. And there's actually a lot of connecting. Well, not a lot. There's some connecting references when you play Tales of Zestiria, hinting back to the events of Berseria, which is strange because Zestiria came out before Berseria.
I was just gonna say, which one came first?
Yeah, Berseria just came out, obviously, and then Zestiria came out, I think, in
Last year.
2014.
So Berseria is a sequel.
No.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Not really. It's kind of
It's
strange.
a lot different even than Zestiria. Actually, I've been meaning to play more of Zestiria because I played a lot of it. It was one of the first games I got for my PS4. But then I was like playing catch up on like all these other ones I saw that people were telling me were cool and what I wanted to try out. And it just kind of fell by the wayside. But after playing Berseria, it definitely made me want to pursue playing the rest of that game and then just maybe work my way backwards while I'm at it. Because now that I've got all of them, I can. And the Vita game is the only Vita game I own. With my PS TV is the only way I can play it, so I'm cool with that. I'm not really looking to start a collection for a platform that I would have to buy every game I get for it online because there's like this many in every store I've ever seen them in.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer. I mean, there's a lot of games that look really cool, but I just pretend I don't see them. It's not that I want to remain against it. I mean, if I see a cool one, I'll pick it up. I usually just get the same kind of crappy ones and then one you've never heard of, so you don't know either way if it is good or not. But anyway, yeah, that's my game of the year.
Good pick.
What is your game of the year?
If anybody has been following the podcast at all on Twitter or Facebook, I mean, I've been pretty obvious, and my opinion has not changed. But my game of the year is Nier Automata. It's just I
still need to play it.
This is the reverse cover. Because I got the Day 1 edition.
I haven't heard those other episodes, but I'll have to go back and check those out.
Just watching the initial trailers, I thought the game looked really cool. I enjoyed everything that I've played by Platinum. I liked what I was seeing, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna check this game out. I hadn't played original Nier. I own original Nier, but I've just never played it. I don't have the Drakengard games.
Internet 5.
But jumped into Nier Automata and I absolutely loved it. I love the characters. I love the style. Sorry about that. I forgot to turn my phone down.
You just got caught doing something you wasn't supposed to be doing.
Oh no,
sinner.
Yeah, for not playing a Yoko Taro game before, he is definitely a guy I will pay attention to any future project he has coming out because his writing style and the stories that he lays out is just so unique and interesting. And the soundtrack for Nier Automata is it's awesome. It's so different from what you would normally expect from a video game soundtrack.
And it's great in gameplay even.
I mean,
like
you look at
like, oh, it came up.
Is that my phone's making noise. Sorry guys. I don't know what's
rude.
I heard a kitty cat.
I'm gonna have to turn this off because I don't know what's playing.
Hey, I see a Wii.
Drop it in a drink.
Yeah. But you look up the composers for the soundtrack and they have no history in video games. I don't know how these people were picked, but the decisions that were made. There's a lot of people, and I've talked about this before many times. A lot of people play the game, they'll get to the point, and there's some credits.
Oh,
and
I know about what you're talking about.
They're like, oh, there's the credits. I'm done with this game.
Nope.
Not even close. Like it, and I've mentioned this before. I'm not totally sure why they decided to do that because
Marvel movies.
Well, I mean that
A
doesn't
lot of
even
games
compare because there's technically 5 endings to play through the main story, and you just keep playing the game to get there.
Isn't there 18
But-
something altogether?
Well, there's 20
Okay.
26.
Fuck shit.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But and it frustrates me when I hear people say, "Well, I got ending A, I'm good."
Well, how many times do you have to play through it to get like the full story?
Well, and it's not even you play through the game over and over. So basically, you have your first playthrough with ending A, which is think of just like a line. Ending B is actually it doesn't cover all of the same events. It's like an abridged. You hit on a lot of the main events, but they give you a different angle, a different aspect, and then that continues on. Like it starts during A, but it continues on from
Are they
A.
different characters?
You switch roles. Yeah, you
Okay.
play as another perspective, and then Route C completely continues on from A and B. So A and B get to the same spot, and then C continues on, and it's I don't know. I loved it. I've explained it in great detail before.
You made a write up. You didn't you? Isn't that the game you made the write up to someone to be like, this is why you
Yeah. So one of the other
you
podcasts
wrote an essay.
I should actually share this on like Facebook and Twitter or something. And I mentioned this before. There's another podcast I listened to for the Cartridge Club, and P1 had played through a Nier and he stopped at A and he's like, I'm done. And I'm like, oh, like I just finished the game myself, so I was like,
Yeah.
I was all about it.
Finished.
So yeah, so I basically I wrote up like a short essay of my argument why I would plead with somebody to finish the game, because it'd be like watching a movie. It's like I can't come up with a good analogy with a specific movie, but it's like you
watching a Marvel movie and then just leaving when the credits first come on.
That's too far. It'd
Watching,
be like
watching up to a certain movie and then forgetting the rest of them. They're all leading up to the Thanos thing, and you don't even get
not
close
even
to
that. I would say it's like starting a movie and stopping watching it 20 minutes in.
Really?
Like just not even finishing the movie. Like Nier Automata, like I said, it is one running story. A through E endings is one entirely running story, and if you stop at A, you get about 40% of the story. The other 60% is the rest of the game. But I wrote this essay. I made line charts and stuff.
Oh my God.
This is how a standard narrative is presented, and this is how a Nier does it. And
it was a fucking PowerPoint, but it was
it just
there was a lot to it. I was proud of it. I was like, man.
Did you have a laser pointer?
He could have played through it at another time.
But for me, it's not just being a solid game. It's the other aspects to creativity and to art and uniqueness that really separates the game for me. Sure, Breath of the Wild, great solid game. They do some really interesting things, but for me, the games that truly stand out are the ones who really they take a leap. They try to do something way different, and it just hit all the right chords for me. I'm sure there's going to be people who completely disagree. I have friends who've played it. They didn't even finish the first like story arc, as it were.
I didn't quit. I'm still going to play to the end
eventually.
But my ultimate argument for playing through Nier Automata, other than being a game that I absolutely love, one of my favorite games of all time at this point, is stopping at ending A or even ending B is like the difference between it's a good game and playing through the rest of it is like game of the year material. Like that's the separation. The later parts of the story are so, I mean, it's the culmination of what everything was leading up to. Like they're setting the stage for something bigger in
And
the
it blows your
initial
mind.
story arc.
So you're just kind of like, cool story, but if you see it all unfold, it blows your mind.
Yeah, and that's essentially what happened. Like, yeah. So, Nier Automata, loved it. My game of the year.
I still need to buy it.
I still just need to start playing the rest of the games that I got this year.
Yes, yes.
Get
Right
right
now.
now. Automata, and I need to get Nio.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
just-
I have a friend who, well, I've had friends who have played through Neo. I have a friend who's currently playing through it. He's going pretty much like full completion, not like achievements, but content-wise. And to do that, you have to play. So it has New Game Plus mode, and to get through the full content, it's like New Game Plus, 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 5 pluses.
Quintuple plus.
And then there's
Quintuple
this.
plus.
He's playing through this. It's like a 90. It's like one of those big like.
I've never heard of double plus. What's this quintuple plus coming from out of nowhere?
Yeah. But I hear it great, and there's a lot of other great games this year. I kind of wanted to talk about maybe some other honorable mentions, but I think for the sake of time, we'll skip on that. If anybody really wants to know what we think, because I'm sure everybody's dying to hear our other opinions.
Maybe we'll just post it in the comments.
Yeah.
Online
I'm
shooter
sure-
of the year, fighter of the year, shmup of the year. Just because it's the only one of those genres I've played.
I didn't pull out any of the other games.
Oh,
Horizon, fantastic. Friday 13th, multiplayer game of the year for me.
You played that? How was
No, I was
only I
thinking about
played
it.
online multiplayer.
Yeah.
it? Yeah, I have to get a. I just bought it so I can play the single player when it comes out.
Yeah, right.
Oh, they're actually going to have a single player mode on that?
Yeah, it's actually.
Don't get me started. He's trolling me right now.
Yeah, I'm trolling him because like
I have
you gonna
strong
get it?
views. Strong views on that.
Damn you, Jason!
Yeah.
I'm going to hit you with my walker.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think as per usual, we go into this podcast kind of wondering if we're going to be able to fill up the time that we plan, and we go way over because we got a lot to
That's
say.
what nerds do.
Exactly, nerd out.
If he's sitting there looking at shoots like so. I bought a video game. What'd you get? I don't remember. I just Call of Duty.
I have to pee now.
I do.
So, unfortunately, I think we
I'm
will.
very hydrated. Very hydrated right now. I'm very motivated to be done this podcast.
I'm turning fucking red.
Yeah. So I think because of that, we're gonna kind of skip over some of the usual closing segments that we would do.
And water sound effects.
Stop.
So I would like, Chris, would you like to let people know how they can get a hold of you, find you online on your channel? I mean, they could just look up your name, but
What's the phone number? What's the phone number?
What's my PIN number?
digits.
Them digits. Them D's. No. Yeah. If you want to find me on, was it Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, just look up the old ass retro gamer. I'm guaranteeing there's nobody else with that name.
Where's MySpace? What's the MySpace at?
It's called no.
And of course,
It's called that
YouTube.
was like 8 years ago.
It's still around.
I know. Justin Timberlake bought it. Why aren't we all using it?
Are you kidding? Is that a real thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not good with his money.
He
Yeah,
got,
so-
he brought Facebook back.
Yeah,
or he brought MySpace back. Wow, it's late.
Should.
Yeah, and if you want to find my YouTube channel, just do a search for the Old Ass Retro Gamer. It'll pop up, or youtube.com/Schwanzi, SHWANZI.
I just wanted to see more of that.
If only you knew what Schwanzi really meant.
Oh, did I say a gay thing?
No, you did not.
Okay, I like it.
Oh,
It's
man.
not like it. Okay.
But yeah, so for anybody who is not subscribed to Chris, I highly recommend checking out his channel. Makes
I
a lot
demand
of
it.
really enjoyable content, great lists, great collabs. Yeah, good stuff. Definitely check it
Oh,
out.
stop.
If you want to see my newest video content, watch his.
God damn it.
Uh, and then I'd imagine if you're watching this, you probably know how to find the podcast. But of course, we're on SoundCloud, audio only version.
Well, I
Of
guess
course,
you're listening on SoundCloud. You can't see me pointing.
yeah. Links on the right. This is reversed, so I don't know. Video version will be on YouTube, and of course, available on podcast apps and iTunes. The iTunes thing is kind of self-regulating, so I don't really keep up on that. So hopefully everything's getting posted there still. So let me know if it's not. Then, of course, you can look me up on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, The Game Grinder. You can look up Jason on YouTube and Facebook as Corpse Flood Gaming.
Come to my house. Let's play games.
Yeah, I mean,
Challenge accepted.
that's what we're all 1v1 me.
I challenged me and you took it seriously.
The only thing is, I'd have to get a passport to do it.
Yes.
All right. Well, okay. Come as far as the international falls, and I'll bring.
Smuggle me, you stick me in your trunk and smuggle me across the border.
Hells yeah. You know, you got to hold on to the bottom of the vehicle because that's the only true way to smuggle yourself.
I'm fat.
Get a lift kit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I think with that said, that's gonna do it for this episode of the podcast. Last podcast of the year, 2017, awesome year. A lot of big changes of the podcast, of course. Jason, so glad you were able to join me on the podcast and helping with co-hosting duties.
Hey, thank you very much for inviting me and putting up with me for the most part.
Yeah. And Chris, yeah, like I said, I think I'm going to be shooting to make this a yearly tradition, kind of do
I
a
accept.
game of the year, whatever, and wrap up sort of thing. It's a blast having you on. I enjoy collaborating with you in this or videos. So
Well,
Thanks
thanks for
for
having me. Thanks for inviting me again, because I love doing this kind of stuff. This is awesome.
yeah, and for anybody listening,
Especially on short
watching,
notice.
Huh?
Especially on such short notice. I
Yeah,
don't
hey,
know,
let us. He caught me on a night. I'm going on vacation tomorrow, so it's cool.
we
we're
discussed it after our last one anyway, so it just worked out.
Yeah, it's perfect.
yeah, and then of course for anybody watching it and listening, let us know your thoughts, leave us some comments. Of course, head on over to Chris's channel if you have not already. And then thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and we appreciate the support. Enjoy doing the podcast. So
See you in 2018, fools.
yes, see you next year. Thanks for watching, and we will talk to you next time.
Whoop, whoop. Whoop.